What's going on in Oakland right now shows the idea of opening America's borders to anyone who wants to come here, anyone, is increasingly popular. Within a few years, the concept of open borders may even become part of left-wing orthodoxy. In fact, it basically already is. But what would that look like if we had open borders here? Dave Seminara is a journalist and former diplomat. He just wrote a piece on that exact question, and he joins us tonight. Dave, thanks a lot for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me on the show, Tucker.
So you say in this piece that you're not anti-immigrant, like almost every other American. You like immigrants. I think we all do.
Of course not. I have immigrants in my own family.
Well, who doesn't? But you raised the question, what would happen if we actually did what many on the left are calling for? And I posed that question to you. What would happen?
Well, it'd be a really unfortunate situation, especially for working-class America, Tucker. I mean, I think as Americans, we forget how lucky we are to be born in a country like this. And unfortunately, you know, for every one United States or UK or Germany, there are 10 Uzbekistans, Venezuelas, and Somalias. It's just unfortunately, right. there's very, very many, you know, countries in the world that are absolutely dysfunctional and poor right. and corrupt that people are looking to get out of. And there's really only 20 or 30 countries, rich countries like ours, that people want to go to. So it's a problem of supply and demand.
Right. That's exactly right. So that's an interesting conversation. But it's been stopped in its tracks intentionally by the left, throwing around stuff about white supremacy and racism. Is it inherently racist to say, I control who comes into my country?
Well, of course not. I mean, of course not. But it's been a very effective tool, actually, to basically silence dissent. And so, you know, anyone who says that we need to limit immigration, and no matter the fact that we're talking about limiting it from white countries, black countries, brown countries, yellow countries, you know, is labeled a xenophobe and a racist. And it's, you know, it's a very effective way to silence dissent. And, you know, unfortunately, our president has said some, you know, incendiary things about immigrants. And that's really played right into the left's hands in this matter, is that he's allowed, I think, the left to sort of equate limiting immigration, which is a very reasonable topic, is what we need to do with racism and xenophobia. And it's been very effective for them, but it's very unfortunate because it's not an honest debate, and the American people, you know, aren't informed based upon it.
What I find so confusing is that the left traditionally has stood for a pristine environment, conservation, keeping the outdoors beautiful, and I'm for those things, by the way. What would happen to the environment if you would open borders?
Well, that's right. I mean, I hate to even think about it, but imagine the air quality in a city like Los Angeles. You're from California, I believe, Tucker. I mean, imagine what the traffic and the air quality and, you know, the water situation, the water shortage situation would be in a drought, a chronic drought area like Southern California if we completely opened the borders. I mean, look, environmental groups 10, 20 years ago used to be willing to admit that we needed to limit immigration, but no longer. And now, you know, the left is essentially on message. And anyone who wants to limit immigration is essentially a xenophobe. And we don't want to talk about what would this country look like with 500 million people? What would it look like with 700 million people? I mean, look, there's hundreds of millions of people around the world who would like to move to a country like the United States. And as much as we might even like to let them in, look, most immigrants, I think, are good people. And I don't blame them for wanting to come. Look, who wouldn't want to come to the United States? If I was born in Somalia or Venezuela or Syria, would I want to come here? Of course I would. You know, you can't blame them for wanting to come. But look, we need to look out for our own interests. And our interests aren't in being a country of 500, 700, 900 million people. They just aren't.
So the left is pushing policies that will wreck the environment and shaft the working class. This is not the liberal group I grew up with at all. Dave, thanks for pointing that out.
Tucker, not just the left, but also the country club wing of the Republican Party.
Oh, you're right.
Let's not spare Republicans on this matter as well, too. And even the president, who is someone who made very liberal use of the H-2B visa in importing, you know, workers to work in his clubs. So let's not just talk about the left. You know, let's talk about the hypocrisy of the Republican Party as well. If
the Republican Congress wanted to seal the borders, it would have been done long ago. I agree with that completely.